You only need to know me. I will be the one.
Chapter 1008. There's a lot of stuff to say about it, but that's not what this video is about. I really just wanted to talk about how the chapter ended. We see Luffy getting flung backwards as usual into some rubble. The not so subtle indication here is that Luffy and the others have been fighting Kaido and Big Mom for quite some time with no success. Absolute failure. And actually, I just had this thought that it'd be cool if somebody were to make a compilation of all the damage Luffy has incurred over the course of the story. Being made of rubber, Oda has taken creative liberties to turn Luffy into his punching bag time and again. From pre-time skip to post-time skip, before Luffy became a pirate, and who knows, maybe after he's done being one. Maybe after he hangs up his straw hat, this won't change. But we see Luffy confront Kaido, and I couldn't help but take something away from their dialogue. Before we address the panel specifically, let me just say the atmosphere Oda is setting up here is one of struggle. A sense that the odds are so incredibly stacked against us. One emperor would be enough, but two. The thing is, you have to wonder if Oda is aware of his audience all the time. When he's writing these moments, does he ask himself, how will my readers respond? How will they feel, or how do I want the story to feel? The moment to feel? How do I want them to feel? In a recent video about Sanji, I talked about the community judging Sanji as if they were Judge Vinsmoke. In the case of the worst generation or Supernova taking on the Yonko on the rooftop, there's been a divide in the reactions of the community as well. Some people feel as if the Alliance will lose, that there's no way they can win, whereas others think the Alliance has no choice but to win. We'll get into each of these mindsets in a moment, but I personally feel as if this is all intentional on Oda's part. He wants us in doubt, to doubt Luffy, to doubt Zoro, to doubt them all. Despite their promises, their motives for victory, Oda really wants us to despair. Think about it. Had there been another time, or has there been another time at least, post-time skip that is, in which you feel such trepidation over the outcome? I think we all knew Luffy would overcome Katakuri, defeat Doflamingo, and just about every other opponent that stood in his way up till now. But Kaido is different. Actually, something I mentioned in my Advanced Conquerors Hockey, why Luffy will be the King of Kings video, is that very concept, Conquerors Hockey. And perhaps this is why the matchup against Kaido as well as Big Mom feels so different, because it is elevated. And at some point we might see the collision of two conquerors over Wano. On the journey to become Pirate King, Don Chinjao had told Luffy he would come across those with kingly potential, some greater than others, but only one deserving of the title. That to discover Laugh Tale, to arrive at that final island, Luffy will have to progressively knock down one obstacle after the next. Hody Jones was light work. A warm-up, as Luffy and the Straw Hats enter the New World. Caesar Clown doesn't really count either, but from there on, Luffy has been confronted with one conqueror after the next. Think about it. Doflamingo on Dressrosa, Katakuri on Whole Cake Island, and now Kaido, King of the Beasts, as well as Big Mom, the Pirate Queen. Depending on how the Supernova divvy up the Yonko, since that seems to be their plan. My thinking is ultimately, Luffy and Zoro should fight Kaido because they're the only ones who can wound him, I think. Whereas Law, Kid, and Killer should take on Big Mom. In all this talk about conquerors, we have to remember Eustace Kid is one as well, and again, from the perspective of Oda, he has to know people are beginning to doubt Kid. So what does he have planned for him? When can we expect to see Kid publicly disclose his own rare ability, why he feels he is worthy to be king? But in each of the prior cases of enemy combatants, of noteworthy battles against final obstacles on each island, when things looked grim, we kind of had Luffy's back all the time because we knew he would prevail, or we hoped he would. And when the moment counted, Luffy came through. For his friends, for those that needed him, and for us readers. With his own great will, he refused to give up, and so in turn, as corny as it sounds, we shouldn't give up on him, or them. The notion of Zoro saying he would never lose again. I've always wondered if it only referred to other swordsmen, but there are those who believe Oda will never have Zoro take another serious L in the story until he defeats Mihawk, which I'm not sure how to feel about because you can learn a lot from defeat. Kuma was a loss for Zoro, you could say, in one way or another. I don't see why Kaido can't be the same, in my opinion. Even if Zoro does manage to seriously injure him, as Oden did 20 years ago. Not that I think Zoro will lose, I just wanted to express my opinion on why everything should be on the table. I doubt Oda has firmly shut any doors. Anyways, going back to the beginning of the video in the final panel of chapter 1008, the top members of the worst generation are marveling at the tremendous obstacles before them. The Goliath of a duo that is Big Mom and Kaido, individuals whose strength as pirates is beyond human, a situation more difficult than anything they had come across up until this point. The reason why it is important to focus on the strong wills of the people on the rooftop relates to the dialogue between Kaido and Luffy. Luffy, in response to Kid, says he's been to hell and back a few times. Again, he doesn't give up. He's been tested before and each and every time has bounced back from whatever hardship befell him. Kaido is impressed by Luffy, and this ties into something I'll touch on shortly, but as it pertains to Luffy's will, his defiant character, his guts. This concept of guts takes us back to chapter 1002, and the final panel of that chapter, akin to the final panel of chapter 1008, speaks to Luffy's endurance all over again. It is framed via Kaido wondering how Luffy endured the flames of his dragon breath, and it's implied that unlike tanking Big Mom's lightning, Luffy isn't necessarily immune to fire, rather he toughed it out. He willed himself to overcome Kaido's flames. He relied on his tremendous spirit. By juxtaposing Luffy's rubbery resistance to Big Mom's lightning and Luffy's spirit overcoming the heat of Kaido's flames, Oda is saying this, I think, that Luffy's spirit, his tremendous will, is like rubber. It can take a beating, it can take anything, it never quits. No matter the opponent, no matter the challenge, it never surrenders. I don't often try to sound like a broken record, but maybe if it's said enough times it'll stick in the minds of an audience, hopefully. But you've heard me say before, way back during the Barate arc, Owner Zeph had commented on Luffy's guts as Luffy goes up against Don Krieg. Owner Zeph tells Sanji to watch closely, that occasionally you run into idiots like Luffy, those of a rare breed, that fight to the death once they decide upon a goal, the worst sort of enemy you can face, that no matter the weapon or armor of an enemy, it is no match for the special spear that comes from your guts and a conviction that doesn't fear death. In this moment, and moments before and thereafter, Luffy has always been a show-off, you could say, the good kind. The kind that inspires you in turn to keep pushing forward, to not give up either. To imagine that you too can be great, that you too can win and just maybe surpass prior limitations. We see this in all the other Straw Hats. Each has found a strength they didn't know they possessed at some point in time because of Luffy. He as a captain has made them a better person, and perhaps this is one meaning of a true king. For others to willingly follow you without need for commands, for subordinates to act at your behest of their own volition. And as Luffy told Rayleigh back on Sabaody, aside from the verbatim text before you on the screen, essentially, real kings don't conquer. They set themselves and others free. Taking all this together, Zeph's words about Luffy and guts, and what I pointed out in chapter 1002 from Luffy's own words on guts. We see this with chapter 1008, this same panel, Luffy's smile. Despite all that he's been through since arriving in Wano, despite all that he's up against, there's nothing in the world that can make him stop smiling, no matter how desperate the times. It reminds me of a quote from Oda, well, from his story really. I think it was Belmare that said this. Don't forget to smile in any situation. As long as you're alive, there will be better things later, and there will be many. While not the perfect application, I think we can stretch the original intent of the quote to encapsulate many different scenarios, including the one currently facing Luffy and his peers. Don't stop smiling, no matter what. Even though Kaido and Big Mom plan to kill you, you're still alive, aren't you? They haven't killed you yet. It really is a life lesson when you lose a job, the rent goes up, you lose someone close to you, your girl leaves you, whatever. You're still alive, right? Don't stop smiling. Tomorrow, a new dawn will rise, so long as you are willing to fight, suffer, and die for your dreams. So back to what I was saying in terms of the divide in the community over what will happen, the idea that the raid will end in failure. Some people feel as if the Alliance will lose, that there's no way the Alliance can win given the odds, whereas others think the Alliance has no choice but to win. The reason why the Alliance has no choice in their view is because Onigashima is flying or floating over Wano. If it falls, well, that's like Hiroshima and Nagasaki 2.0. So the obvious outcome is a test for the supernova maybe, or Luffy specifically, or as an alternative, Momonosuke. Kaido affording them a chance to save the country of Wano, as he seems to be impressed by their tenacity, and Luffy and Zoro's strength in particular. That there might be a legendary hour part 2, you could say. Aside from the scabbards, the way I see it, we have 4 characters with deep ties to Oden. Obvious choice 1, Momonosuke. Obvious choice 2, Zoro. Obvious choice 3, Luffy and his promise to Kinemon to carry Wano on his back, which, if you think about it, Onigashima is a part of Wano, kind of. And so defeating Kaido or dealing him a significant injury as a part of a test to get him to spare the island of Wano below could happen. Obvious choice 4, Yamato, which ties back into obvious choice 1, Momonosuke, who maybe with Yamato's help, since she's aware of her father's powers, might help Momonosuke to use his own to literally hold up Wano with dragon flame clouds similar to Kaido, thus mimicking his father Oden's own legendary hour. And it would actually make for an amazing moment, inspirational even, a real tear-jerker, because this would be happening over the country of Wano. They would all get to see Oden's son recreate the legend of old, that the will of the Kozuki clan and the promise to open Wano's borders endures. Oda loves to do this kind of stuff, to get average people involved in a victory. I'm sure that's what he has planned here. As for why people think the Alliance has to succeed, well, this is Act 3. Act 3 usually ends in tragedy, so we'll see what happens with that. Tragedy should be around the corner. At Oda's current pace, Wano should end sometime in the year 2022, maybe at the end of 2022, because we still have Act 4 and 5, plus the regular breaks that he takes, not including holiday seasons. The Alliance could suffer a massive defeat in Act 3, but turn things around for us in Acts 4 and 5. Looking at the unexpected, depending on whether or not Momonosuke is using observation haki at the moment, or the voice of all things in chapter 1008 to see through Zunisha's eyes as the theory goes, Zunisha could destroy Onigashima or maybe somehow open Wano's borders in the process. It'd be interesting, I think, to do a size comparison. I know the Library of Ohara or Arthur is very good at that, to see just how tall Zunisha is juxtaposed with Wano, because maybe Zunisha's height was designed for this exact purpose. We've already gotten 1 or 2 surprise entries already. One of them was Otama, and another one was the Cypherpole agents, and the chances of other surprises are high as well. Blackbeard, because of Moria's grudge against Kaido, is still expected to show up. I think if Kaido does present a challenge to the Alliance or for Luffy to overcome, if in the process they save the land of Wano but Kaido is too strong or something else happens and he gets away, that would still count as a victory. Opening Wano's borders comes first. Kaido can wait. Marco the One Piece theorist actually had a theory about Kaido's favorite winter island, and the road poneglyph that Law was searching for. Law still hasn't told anyone he didn't find it. At least I don't think he has, that the poneglyph isn't there. This leaves the door open for a round 2, maybe with just Luffy and Kaido, or a different matchup depending on what Oda does or decides. The only issue is I've heard from a lot of people that they would lose interest in having to face Big Mom and Kaido another time. Just like Big Mom chasing us here to Wano, and who knows what happens thereafter, Kaido now chasing us would be crazy. And so it does seem as if Oda has set the remnants of rocks to fall here on Wano. I can actually picture a moment in which Kaido, impressed by Luffy, comes to respect him. Think back to their first encounter. Kaido has nothing but disgust for Luffy and his ambition. "What kind of king did you say you would be, boy?" he said. But now Kaido's having fun, a lot of fun. Luffy is a worthy adversary. The debate over who was stronger at the time, Luffy versus Katakuri, is irrelevant to the fact that Luffy overcame Katakuri with a greater will. In a similar battle of Conquerors, how will Luffy versus Kaido end? I can see Kaido rising or surviving from a major attack from Luffy and Zoro just when they've come to believe they had won. Rather than falling as Katakuri did before Luffy, he continues to stand. That Kaido's will wasn't broken despite his injury. Kaido then might come to respect Luffy as Katakuri did. Kaido, if he does flee Wano to his winter island, might give Luffy the opportunity to challenge him another time. But I'm leaning towards a defeat here in Wano. That's just kinda how I feel about it. Either way, I wanted to close out the video by considering what Kaido and Big Mom's eventual defeat means for Luffy's character in the eyes of the world. It's probably been said by others already, many times at that, but Luffy would officially become a Yonko in my view after Wano, especially if Big Mom and Kaido fall, especially if they are defeated at his hands because of him, or maybe one if not the other. Ignoring the proclamation of Big News Morgans, the world government itself might issue a public decree acknowledging Luffy's status, deeming him a true threat. We've seen Luffy rise to the attention of Imusama already, his bounty poster plastered alongside Blackbeard, and that's a pretty big deal, I think. I can just imagine people around the world referring to Luffy as an emperor when this is all over, and even his crewmates as commanders. Is it necessary? No, because it's also possible the Yonko system falls as well, that the balance of power is finally undone. Fujitora was after the Shishibukai. Maybe Akainu wants to collapse the Yonko to remove their need. I remember someone leaving a comment below a video telling me that if Akainu is the leader of Sword and he has spies amongst the Yonko's crew, maybe it's to take them down. Espionage before sabotage. Then again, Akainu seems to reserve a lot of his hatred for Dragon, the revolutionary leader. And Luffy, as the son of Dragon and being a prominent pirate as well, has the features of each, revolutionary and pirate. And Luffy will have a huge target on his back because of that if he were to take down Kaido. For in a way, the X on his chest, given to him by Akainu, kind of marked him as a threat already. The one that got away. A job Akainu will come to finish in the future. We will have to wait and see. Don't forget to like the video, comment with your thoughts below, share this with your friends, and subscribe. Also click that notification bell. As always, there is more to come. Until next time, I'll see you all in Valhalla.